Two clips, one truth they don't want you to know. First, Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson on JRE. And Gibson says that 3 friends had stage 4 cancer. Now they don't have cancer at all. Rogan brings up methylene blue, an old textile dye that has profound effects on your mitochondria. Gibson's response to stuff works, man. Then he says the quiet part out loud. Things that do cure you are not promoted because they're not profitable. Second, Laura Trump on Fox News touring Gary Brekka's home. Now, Brekka is the biohacker who told Rogan to combine methylene blue with red light therapy. He takes Laura into his red light therapy room and explains exactly how it works, pushing oxygen into your mitochondria. This is Medbed technology. The Trump family is using it. Maha is pushing it. Jonathan Otto is now back to break down the science. So, Jonathan, before we get into it, let's just roll this first clip. I want to welcome you back to the program, but I want to play this first clip of Mel Gibson with Joe Rogan that everybody's talking about. And while I get that lined up real quick, let me just readjust the settings, and we'll get this rolling. Okay, it should be working now. Okay, here we go.
And they had some serious stuff going on.
There it is.
And what did they take?
Jesus.
Here we go.
Hence this hesitation. See this hesitation
Tell you
there?
a good story.
Okay.
I have 3 friends. All 3 of them had stage 4 cancer. All 3 of them don't have cancer right now at all. And they had some serious stuff going on.
And what did they take?
Jesus. They took some, what you've heard they've taken.
Ivermectin.
Fenbendazole.
And fenbendazole. Yeah. I'm hearing that a lot.
They drank hydrochloride something or other.
There's studies on that now where people have proven that
people
they've
drinking methylene blue and stuff like that.
Yeah, methylene blue, which was a fabric dye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a textile dye. And now they find out it has profound effects on your mitochondria.
Yep.
Yeah.
This stuff works, man.
There's a lot of stuff that does work, which is very strange because, again, it's profit. When you hear about things that are demonized and that turn out to be effective, you always wonder, well, what is going on here? How is our medical institutions, how have they failed us so that things that do cure you are not promoted because they're not profitable?
I mean, you heard him right there. Mel Gibson says 3 friends don't have stage 4 cancer. They don't have cancer anymore. Rogan says methylene blue, profound effects on your mitochondria. Gibson says this stuff works. As somebody who's studied this space for years, what is your reaction seeing this? And I want you to break down the science.
Yeah. So what he was talking about is real. So it's a treatment. So methylene blue, it has been studied as a photosensitizer, something that can penetrate cells and cause the cells, in this case the circulating tumor cells, to undergo programmed cell death, apoptosis. So he's talking very informally about something that he, admittedly doesn't know a lot about. Important conversations. You could tell, like, if your gut instincts are firing correctly, that he's not lying to you. In fact, he's a little hesitant to tell you exactly what they did, not wanting to get in trouble. It appears that way. You get that vibe, right, Gary?
Absolutely. No, he's definitely being a little coy about, responding because, these things are so controversial in a lot of these social spaces that just uttering these words can get you in trouble. But, I mean, he's not making any claims. He's just talking about what his friends are doing.
Exactly. And like the thing that Big Pharma doesn't want people talking about is people getting better, right? So in that line, we're all running the razor's edge right here, right? So if you are okay to live in a world where we can't circulate information, where we can't help people, and where we all have to kind of just accept our fate, then yeah, no thank you. I'll run the razor's edge all day long and just live my life. So here's an example, Gary, right? If you see what I've got on the screen there, that's an example where you've got something that is very much a similar example. This is called methyl aminoleuvolinic acid, and it's a photosensitizer, just like methylene blue. And what's fascinating on this is it says under figure 1 there, under the image, a complete response in the patient with this certain type of cutaneous B cell lymphoma, which is a blood cancer that is, it can be fatal, right? And often is. And it was only 2 treated sessions. And so this is an example of photodynamic therapy working. Methylene blue is really only effective if it's activated. And anyone that understands the compound, how it works and how it hypersensitizes cells to light, understands that that's the mechanism. So when you have methylene blue in the body, it's about 30 minutes later, then you're applying the red light directly. And that's what groups like, for example, the Hope for Cancer treatment centers, right? So this book that I authored, the Cancer Off Switch, Dr. Antonio Jimenez is the chief medical officer and founder of the Hope for Cancer treatment centers, and they'll do that all day long. They even do it via IV. They're doing methylene blue IV, and then they're treating them with the red lights. And again, he was the one that referenced that this is a potential lifesaver. The research that I'm sharing, and then also shares that it's not just recommended what I'm sharing, but essential. But what he's doing is understanding that very mechanism that is being described here. This is how you can help yourself and arguably work as a preventative, so that you're getting rid of some of these toxic cells, if you will, zombie cells. They're referred to as senescent cells that aren't functioning properly, and clearing them out of the body using photodynamic therapy. And these are the clinical studies that were showing these profound results, not just in this case lymphoma, but in bone cancers. And notice that Mel didn't mention what types of cancer.
Right.
And what's interesting is that I'll show you, I mean, these are all different studies on various types of cancer, including some of the most lethal. Here's near infrared and using typically photosensitizers for pancreatic cancer. And the quest goes on. So I'm curious on what you got next for me.
Well, I want to ask you this because Rogan says it's a textile dye, and now they're finding it affects the mitochondria. I mean, what exactly is methylene blue? And what does the research actually show? Like, how does it actually work in the body?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a textile dye, right? So then those that feel like, hey, look, I only want to put the natural things in my body, completely natural. And I am that way, right? I don't even drink coffee. I don't drink any alcohol at all. And so I am only referencing tools like this because there is benefits, and it is a fabric dye, right? So just like, I mean, think about blue, right? When you're coloring something blue, it's kind of like this strange thing that was discovered. At some point, it would have been quite accidental, right? In terms of where it's meant for something else, right? It's meant to dye clothes, but then because it makes cells sensitive, right? So to light. And light is the thing that actually will help eradicate all kinds of problems from the body. And that's why you'll see people get out into sunlight and all of a sudden things start clearing up. And the parts of the day that people are typically missing is the red, the morning and the evening, when the sun goes red. And that's when you're really activating, in this case, methylene blue. It's activated at the peak at 660 nanometers, which is the peak of red, that deep red that you'll see in something like what I'm holding here. This would be an example of deep red, right, at 660, and there's 630 here as well, which is quite similar in color. But that will activate something like methylene blue. Once that's activated, then you're generating something called reactive oxygen species. So mitochondria have light receptors. They absorb the light, and because something like methylene blue helped photosensitize, the alternatives that are natural would be curcumin, berberine, riboflavin, chlorophyll, artemisinin, which is sweet wormwood, which is where ivermectin is derived from. So notice the double up there. And you're seeing actually quite natural, like ivermectin has some natural properties. And then what's happening is you're hypersensitizing the cells to light. The light then is absorbing into the cells. The cells are generating energy in the form of something called adenosine triphosphate, ATP, and they're generating reactive oxygen species. These then go out and target cancer cells. Singlet oxygen is an example of this. And the military has used this historically, where they've shot airborne missiles with singlet. The body naturally produces this, and it's a fluorescent substance. So light is begetting light. It's creating light within the body. Then the light is going after any toxic cells and helping and help providing the energy for new healthy cells. So you're actually just turning over the process instead of just killing all cells, which is the traditional treatments for cancer.
Now, I want our viewers to understand that there are some offers for them to take advantage of the red light therapy that you've sent to my home that we're benefiting from, the methylene blue, all the different items. It's all linked below, but I want to mention what Gibson said. It was very powerful at the very end. And I think you have some insight into this. He says, things that do cure you are not promoted because they're not profitable. Is that what's happening here? Are we seeing the suppression of effective wellness tools because big pharma just can't patent them? They can't patent the light waves, right?
Exactly. That is true. And the other thing is, even if they could, how much money would they make by doing something that costs so little, right? So they couldn't charge you $1 million to sit down. In the case of the lymphoma cases, there were 3 people in that pilot study. All 3 people had complete remission. That was 100%, and they all got better in a single week. I'm not saying that all people should expect that for all conditions, right? But just imagine, right? The most you could charge if you wanted to completely pillage somebody would be like 20 grand or something like that. And that wouldn't be fair because you're just shining a light on somebody. What's the power to control that device? What did it cost to manufacture it? The markup is so unrealistic, but that's what they do with chemo and all these other things, right? But they're not making enough in comparison what they make from you by you having an ineffective treatment that also causes, like, it's typically $1 million, by the way, right? So when you get cancer, you're about $1 million. That's what you're worth to the industry, about $1 million per occurrence. But you may not be spending all that. You may have insurance, but that's still the profit that they're making, and that's how that system is feeding itself. And then people get wiped out, though, still paying that 10% of their premium or however it's structured for them. So it's daylight robbery. It's horrible. And then imagine if it recurs like 4 or 5 times. Like you're at $5 million. Like why would they let go of that profit? They don't have any interest to help you, and then they're protected from a lot of these things. You see the exclusive order on glyphosate. That's Bayer again now, like that's profiteering in the pharmaceutical space. So when you get poisoned by glyphosate, they'll also profit from your cancer treatment that you got from glyphosate. Both owned by the same company. Nice revolving door. Don't forget the $sign, right? What is the $sign? It's the cult of Asclepius, which is a Greek mythology concept, which is Asclepius who poisons his participants or gets them to get bitten by snakes and then sells them the cure. Hence why the $sign is the same as the World Health Organization sign, which they admit is the cult of Asclepius. It's the same as the medical symbol, right? It's a symbol of we poison you and we sell you the cures. And I'm not exaggerating. Look it up. Tell me another explanation for why we have the $sign as it is and why it's the same as the medical symbol.
Well, that's terrifying to consider. I don't think I've ever heard that before, but thank you for sharing that revelation here today. And speaking of revelations, Laura Trump was recently with Gary Brekka, showcasing Gary Brekka's Medbed technology. And I think I'm going to show you what was presented. And Brekka has an insane setup at his house. I mean, it's just like, it looks like a space capsule. And what you've sent me is basically the exact same thing, but scaled down for home use for average folks. So I want to present this video here that we just published to X. And let's get this.
I have spent the entire day with Gary Brekka. I have so many questions, and he really has so much knowledge and insight to share. He also has an entirely biohacked home with some of the coolest, most cutting-edge technology that I have ever seen. And even if we don't have the gadgets, we can all be inspired by the next frontier for our health. Take a look.
So we're going to go back here. This is where things get serious.
Oh, no.
This is the red light therapy room.
Oh, it really is.
So we're mimicking all the beneficial effects of the sun with red light and infrared light. So these lines that look like they're off, they're actually on. They're just infrared or near infrared light. That's where you're getting the real therapy from.
Wow.
These are like the invisible rays from the sun. And what they do is they help with circulation, inflammation. They're great for skin, collagen, elastin, fibrin, but they're amazing for a little tiny organelle in your cell called the mitochondria. Because when light passes through this little cell, organelle, it pushes oxygen into that organelle and helps it function better. So a red light therapy bed mimics all the photo benefits that we get from the sun without the UVA and UVB rays.
And how long do we do this?
10 minutes if you do it every single day, 20 minutes if you do it 3 times a week.
Amazing. Well, I could have spent the entire day with Gary Brekka. I have
like,
so many.
What he has there in that setup is wild. I mean, literally looks like a space capsule with all the red light. But he lays it out. Laura Trump's there, absorbing the information, and this is on Fox News of all places. You're not really used to seeing this kind of radical health information presented. So, she's the president's daughter-in-law touring the red light therapy room. Brekka says it pushes oxygen into your mitochondria, mimics the benefits of sunlight without the UV. This is the same Gary Brekka who told Rogan to combine methylene blue with the red light. So what is the connection? And how do they work together?
Yeah. Okay, great. So they're synergistic, right? So you've got, it was a great conversation, right? He understands, Gary understands many of the mechanisms there, and some of the units that they're using there they're the exact technology, right? That it's the same wavelengths, it's the same irradiance or greater even in what we're doing with my company. And so that's great. So how, so when you have a look at this, right, I'll show you an example, right? So here's a study from PubMed, right? So you're asking about the synergy here of stacking these things, right? So methylene blue and the anti-cancer photodynamic therapy, systematic review of preclinical trials. And here they were selecting 10 studies and look at the conclusion. The results of this systematic review support the suggestions that photodynamic therapy with methylene blue helps against different types of cancer, including colorectal tumor, carcinoma, and melanoma. In cases of nanopharmaceuticals, considerable increase of anti-cancer therapy effectiveness was observed. So, and the one that even I was telling you to grab from a company I'm not affiliated with directly, which was Earth Harmony, and they have the nano gold in it, right? So that's a nano gold particle that's helping the delivery of the methylene blue, and so it's an effective, safe, low-cost anti-tumor compounds. They're showing more of the mechanisms, the studies across these different types of tumors, why they're effective, similar to some of the results, and look at all the different types here. So this is not a joke, right? You hear something like that, it seems informal, you kind of wonder, yeah, that sounds like it's alternative. It's not alternative. When it's in PubMed, and there's thousands of studies in PubMed, which there are, it's not alternative, it's mainstream, and that can just help the people that kind of didn't want to be fringe. There's other things that are alternative that I would say, yes, that they're very effective, and probably in a few years they'll become mainstream.
When you refer to it as alternative, it's only because, yes, it's in PubMed and it is mainstream, but the average American is totally clueless to this, and that's why, when you bring it up to people. And I have, I've talked to people about the benefits I've received, my family's received, with the red light and the methylene blue, and they kind of look at you a little cross-eyed because it's like, it may be out there, we may be seeing it on Fox, we may be seeing it here in some of these studies, but it takes a show like this to push it out into the public sphere so that people can understand it, and it really is remarkable when you think about the science and how it all works together. And really, I think just how easy it is. Like you just heard Brekka, 10 minutes. It's literally 10 minutes. Because I have one of these in my home now, I'm able to go under for 30 minutes every day. And the benefits, are just amazing. Because I'm recharging my cells, I'm recharging my battery, my life, and my life force is changing.
Wow. Well, look at you, right? You do look amazing, Gary. I think that, look, there's look, if somebody's truly dedicated to health, they don't want to go tell somebody something false, right? It's like telling your friend you're a great singer, and they get up and they become part of the make fun of reel on American Idol. Like, that's not a good friend that sets people up like that. Same with health. Like, you don't tell somebody they look good if they don't. Gary's making huge improvements, guys, and any of you that have been following for a long time can visibly see the results. And we we can see that that
True.
jacket is bigger on you than it used to be. And
Yeah, I need to get new suits. I mean, I'm watching what I'm eating. I'm working out. I'm doing the red light. I'm doing the C60. I'm doing all these things that are all combining, and I'm having like a compounded effect. That, a couple of years ago when I was working out and eating right, I didn't have the benefits of red light therapy or C60 to accelerate my mitochondrial repair, and right now, with what you blessed our family with, it's remarkable because I mean my skin, just my skin too, and how it affects the mitochondria in the skin. I mean everything's working great.
wow. That's awesome. And for those that don't know, your wife's transformation with diverticulitis.
Yes.
I'm not the interviewer here, but because you're talking on the personal note, that one is a really touching
Well,
one
that
for
was
me.
when we got back from NATO, and she had the diverticulitis attack, and I'll reiterate because you guys hear me talk about it all the time, is the diagnosis was she needed to take all this medication, all these antibiotics. She was having massive reactions to these things. She was shaking, and it was like just to watch her going through the diverticulitis attack with the compounded effects of the antibiotics. And when she went back to the doctor or the hospital and to tell them about the antibiotics, she's like, "This is a known side effect," they said to her, "but keep taking them." And they're like, just basically
Wow.
just sent her off to tell her to finish her bottle of medication, and she literally did the red light therapy for like a week, and within a couple days it was like life changing. Like literally, it was night and day, because I mean I'm not sure exactly how it affected it must have something to do with the inflammation with the diverticulitis and how it was infecting her internally, but it must have. I mean, Alan, maybe you can help me understand what happened there, but the results were almost like 48 hours, and it was remarkable.
Oh, wow.
And
No,
she
thank you for
wasn't
sharing
even
that.
she wasn't even taking the methylene blue. She was just doing straight red light.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm glad. Thank you for saying that as well, because I actually don't want people to think that they all need to do that. Exactly like
Right.
what you're saying. It's kind of like, hey, look, we're explaining what happened here. It's a tool, and I was showing like the other ones, like the berberine, the curcumin. Basically, what happens is your whole diet becomes like the methylene blue. Why? Because anything that you're eating from the plant kingdom, especially raw plants, like that salad that you're eating, iceberg lettuce, yeah, not very nutritious, dark leafy greens filled with chlorophyll, they're going to cause what I'm talking about, right? So then your diet starts working for you, and then you realize everything I'm eating needs to be activated. And that's why you'll see the study on thyroid disease, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, the group that did red light versus the group that just did the D3 and also the selenium supplements. The group that did red light in combination with the supplements did 70 times better at achieving thyroid hormone balance and 15 times greater at reducing thyroid medication needs. That was 70, not 17, 70. And so my answer, one is humbly, the scientific community with all the published studies don't know exactly why your wife got the results that she did. We know lots of the mechanisms, but it's really many different things. The hypothesis would be that it's causing the reactive oxygen species are helping to get rid of the disease cells. So basically, you're just turning over cells. So yeah, we could denote that, but when I say we don't know, we do know those mechanisms, so we can explain it. I'm just saying, like, you
Right.
have no idea how amazing and intricate God is, and so we kind of know the name, like the mitochondria. That doesn't mean I know exactly what it is and how it works and why it's so powerful and where it came from. And so just, you know what I mean? Like, just be humble when you see the beauty of God's creation, and what you witness was a miracle of God, really, through science. So, and now these mechanisms, yes, it's reducing inflammation. Yes, it's helping to even kill parasites that could have been causing it. Yes, it's helping the cells detoxify of metals. Most people will give you a very basic answer for that, why that worked. It could have been any combination of those. It could have been driving new stem cells, even though stem cells would probably take a few months to mature. But it's cellular signaling. It could have been the nitric oxide production that was the big thing, that because it's causing the body to produce nitric oxide. And then maybe the biggest was that it was activating the enzyme cytochrome C oxidase, causing the cells to undergo cellular respiration. And because their cells could finally breathe, they could finally function. Guess what? Wow. While you're breathing, it's because your cells need to breathe, and you activate that by just breathing as much as you can will not activate the critical aspects of the electron transport chain, which is this cytochrome C oxidase enzyme that is critical. You have to switch it on with light in order to breathe properly, in order for the cells to breathe properly. Is that was what I mean to say? So there you go. That's my explanation.
Wow. Well, that makes sense. It certainly makes sense. A lot of things happening because it's, the grand design of our creator, and using these technologies helps us to activate that healing property of what he, all the mechanisms that are in place for creation. And
yes,
if you take the steps that God has given us, you can activate those healing chains of action. I guess it's one way to put it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, you got PEMF up here because I want to ask you about that. You've talked about the red light therapy and PEMF supporting the mitochondrial function. The term Medbed is often thrown around. Is this the Medbed technology? Brekka said 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes, 3 times a week. Walk us through the peer-reviewed research that talks about red light, PEMF, and the cellular energy.
You got it. And then this one was, by the way, just wrapping up what we're talking about. I just put it into Google, and people can do this. Show me methylene blue working in 7 out of 10 studies for cancer. And then what you see is, okay, this result, this showed, and here we have it. And it analyzed 10 preclinical studies on the use of methylene blue photodynamic therapy. The review confirmed the effectiveness of this treatment, specifically in decrease in tumor size in 7 of the 10 reviewed articles. And some of them were up to 99% if you go deeper into the studies. And so that's kind of just fun. Like, people should be doing their own research. Keep plugging away at this thing that you're dealing with, and just plug it in. Just do what I'm doing. Right? You've got a loved one with arthritis, and then put in arthritis red light therapy, and just do that and see what comes up, and then it'll explain the mechanisms. You'll see the studies, and then you could see this was only 2 to 3 times per week, and then you just keep going, and then look at it. What short? Yeah, here we go. Inflammation, increase ATP, regulate enzyme and gene expression. So I was just talking about that. And then you'll see why one condition, right? By the way, like, there's 75,000 different conditions diagnosed. Your wife had diverticulitis. That was the label that she got given. But in the real world, these things don't exist. Not like that.
Type in diverticulitis in red light.
Yeah, okay, ready?
I want to see what this says.
Yeah, watch it. You'll see. Look at this. And then let's see, it'll suggest probably some of the mechanisms. Reduce intestinal inflammation, easing pain, supporting tissue repair, red light, near infrared. People are like, oh, that's just Google. Well, it's doing an AI overview of all the scientific studies that are there, so it's not rubbish. And then it's citing the clinical studies. Gut disorders, colitis, evidence specifically for diverticulitis is such and such. This is where helps reduce gut inflammation. And interesting that and then whenever somebody finds this, okay, it's limited. Like, we've got some studies, it's limited. Like, there's a handful, there's not thousands. Well, look at what your wife does. And that's the key, because I've seen conditions where, there's thousands of studies, most conditions you'll find, but those that you can't. I had a woman with Graves' disease, and she was bedridden, and Shannon, and then the doctors were like, your lab work is terrible. Like, never do what you used to do. Never go and do marathons again. In 2.5 weeks, she went from bedridden to competing in the New York Marathon. Her doctors had no rebuttal to her after she could present her data of saying, look at, and they're like, we can't explain your markers, they're normal. And that was with Graves' disease. And you can't find many studies on it. So my point is that just think about it theologically. Like, you were made by God to be in light. Light is the most gentle thing that you can do for your health. If you got sunburn, guess how you would help reverse that? Through red light therapy. And that's why they say, even if you get sunburn, make sure to get the sunset or the sunrise the next day, and you'll be able to help heal from that burn. My point is that if you can tolerate sun, you can tolerate red light. And I don't know of anyone that's completely allergic to the sun. Rosacea, lupus, yeah, those guys, they do really well on red light therapy, including skin cancers like melanomas, all proven in clinical studies. So glad you went down that rabbit hole with me. So yes, as you are.
for sure. That's wild. I'm glad you looked that up. Oh wow.
Yeah, exactly. And look at that. So, and this is the case in point, Gary, because I want people to kind of, there's a point where you ask questions and you get answers, and there's a point where you just say, I'm ready to try it. And
Right.
that's why you didn't see that. And then you were, because of, somehow you just listened to me and we became friends, and then you just felt like maybe this would work, right? You see how that's what successful people do, right? And they try something, and that was an investment of time from your wife, as an example. And then I just got a beautiful text from her a couple of days ago with her friend. You would know her name, but and it was with a cancer diagnosis, and we supported her, right? So, and then she was raving about how good she's feeling and asking for some additional advice, and of which I will tell you guys exactly what I told her, that you could do this regularly. You could do it up to twice a day, like the sunrise and sunset, or you could just do it that once a day. And you could do 20 minutes a day. You could do just 10 minutes. Like, Gary made it easy for people by giving people the minimum, but you could do up to an hour. There's clinical studies showing that. But I know you were just asking then about the PEMF aspect, right? And this was what we were finding. What was the specific aspect that you were going after with PEMF? Let me
Well, I mean, because
reflect on what you're asking.
Brekka's
Completing
talking
the
about
Medbed stack.
going into the red light therapy 10 to 30 minutes. But I want you to walk us through the peer-reviewed
Yeah.
research showing about the red light, PEMF, and the cellular energy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, exactly.
the full spectrum approach to the PEMF mat, and with the inclusion of the red light, because that's what
You
people
got
really
it.
need to understand. And you know what I did not include in that clip, because we posted that clip of Lara Trump and Brekka. There was a point in that segment they did where he showed his bedroom, and in that bedroom they have like silver sheets, as well as the actual bed itself was grounded, and it had some kind of
Oh, yeah.
electrical thing. So it's almost as if his entire bed was a PEMF mat. But he did not, in that video, they did not connect the two. But you're connecting the two, and the full benefits, which is interesting.
Yeah. No, dude, thank you. And like, this med bed exists, right? So if you look in nature, nature's med bed is evident, right? And just think about this, Gary. Like, think about all the animals you see in the wild, and how infrequently you'll see the conditions that we see today, right? In humans, you'll see these animals thriving, and you'll see the plants thriving. You'll see the trees thriving. Every now and again, you'll see some kind of disease that probably came in because of some crazy man-made thing where we just dumped a bunch of toxins there, and they're struggling with that. But generally, they're connected. What are they connected to? They're connected to the light source and the Earth's magnetic field at the same time. And that's why, if people really want to, like, basically slash their risk and slash their medical bills, like, I think about my grandma that I sent home with like a red light panel that we're offering on discount right now for $1,200, which is what she was paying monthly for her thyroid medication, what she was paying for the year for her thyroid medication. Why this is relevant is because I sent her home with this. She split her head. It was something like maybe 12 or 13 stitches or something. And so, because she fell because of cognitive issues, right? And then I sent her home with that so that she would then put that over her head. But then, because it helped her cognitive function, the home that my wife and I built for her, she could then move back into it, because she moved out because she wasn't able to, live there without falling over. She needed to be monitored. And so, and then she got her thyroid markers tested, not because I told her that would happen, just because she's got to kind of keep up with that. And the doctors are like, you're on way too much. And she's actually on a path to almost getting off it. And so, anyway, that was showing the inexpensive nature of these things. And so if you stack these therapies, you're basically giving yourself the best shot. And some of that is because you're neutralizing harmful EMF exposure. You're building greater bone density, which means that stronger bones mean more and better stem cells. And your fractures and things that you may not have a fracture, maybe you do, maybe if you don't, you're strengthening the bones. Healthy bones mean a healthy body. And so you need to be interfacing with your skeleton, and that's why the PEMF is going to shoot straight into the bones, and it's going to cause the production of mesenchymal stem cells within the bones. And here you've got a study showing that 69.7 of the PEMF participants no longer had clinically significant insomnia by the end of the treatment, and then it improved their ISI scores, the sleep latency and efficiency. These were the chronic pain relief. This was 40 minutes twice daily for 7 days. Patients showed significant pain improvement, and you could be doing that at the same time. This mat that we have there, you could see it in the images. It has the red and near infrared light in it. It's got 633, 660, 850, and 1064. So we programmed that, and we also put a 9-hour timer so you could use it through the night. The red lights that I've been explaining to you guys is using 9 different wavelengths from 480 up to 480, 590, 630, 660, 670, 810, 830, 850, and 1060. So it's using all those wavelengths, using infrared, near infrared, and then penetrating all the way through the bones, causing the production of stem cells, all of that as well. And so when you stack these things together, you're hitting the mitochondria from 2 different angles. And these studies on chronic pain or on sleep or on cardiac function are showing that this is like a holy grail. If I showed you the studies on red light reducing heart muscle scarring by 80% in the Tel Aviv study, which heart muscle scarring is the hardest, it's known as irreversible. They did combine stem cells in the study, but you could just make more stem cells by doing red light. You could do intermittent fasting or fast for a day or two, produce more stem cells. Do exercise, that'll produce more stem cells. So you don't have to inject them in if you want to do a more less invasive, more cost-effective method. Yeah.
You know what's great,
so these are the
Jonathan,
studies.
is
Yeah.
I was just at the White House, and we were presenting some of the live reads because you sponsor this show, and I was going through some of the comments, and one of the segments that we had recorded there at the White House, where your live read was read, and I was watching that segment. And I read one of the comments, and someone's like, "Oh, yay! I can't wait! Thanks for reminding me, Gary. I'm going to go under my red light right now." And it's proof that we have viewers who are taking advantage of this, and they are seeing the benefits, and they're leaving comments. And one thing I want people to do, you're watching this right now, if you have secured one of Jonathan's devices, and you have a testimony of your own, please share it, because I read these things, Jonathan reads these things, other people read these things, and when we share our own testimonies, we are helping to reinforce our other viewers and their health journey. And you have an opportunity, as you're watching this right now, to impact another person with your own testimony. So please, if you have gone to the link down below, if you have received the benefits of these products, please share your story, because we want to hear it, and you're going to help somebody too.
So beautiful. Yeah, we keep getting just these amazing stories. Like I had a woman, Dee Dee, 9 out of 10 pain scores. She's used this red light belt, put it on her back, and went to a 0 out of 10. I might have shared that story before. This is a beautiful one because she reclaimed her.
Yeah, here's mine.
Her income.
This is mine right here.
Yeah, nice. Yep.
And it's portable.
So simple
it's
to
perfect.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I've got Sir Richard Branson using this same device, right? So it's kind of like you kind of wonder, if I'm using a device that cost me a few $100s, the billionaires get to use their stuff, and I use my not so expensive stuff, but Richard Branson was so excited to get started on this, and this is Necker Island, not to be confused with the other nefarious evil islands. And I could tell you that Richard Branson, is such a conscious individual, and he's doing what he can to try to make the world better. I remember him sitting with me and saying to me, Jonathan, basically that he's getting older now, and that it's really going to be up to you and your generation to make this world better. I just watched him take care of everyone. He was just, when we went out riding, he was just making sure I didn't get hurt. And so there's lots of things that you know, people, when you're a billionaire today, you're guilty until proven innocent. We need to kind of like, support the guys that are good folks doing good things. Our red lights are in there. They're actually currently in, and we're putting in some of our larger ones into the Necker Island Wellness Center. So their vision is to help people get well, and so it's an honor there, as we are in the Hope for Cancer treatment centers in going into their wellness center or their cancer treatment center. But then we're being rolled out, and we're doing a lot with their patient follow-up program, and people are getting incredible results. And Dr. Tony Jimenez is arguably the world's most known and celebrated oncologist, integrative oncologist, with a few decades experience in integrative oncology. So yeah, we've got some great things going on here.
Well, I mean, speaking of high profile people, we just saw Laura Trump on Fox promoting the technology, RFK Jr. At HHS pushing health freedom, Gary Brekka praising the Maha movement, Rogan and Gibson, they're talking about it to millions of people. How does this all fit together? Is this really a turning point for wellness in America?
Yeah, it is for those that understand, for those that have an ear to hear and want to change their life and health. We are seeing a catalyst here. We're seeing a lot of people, get results and turn around conditions that were once understood irreversible, and it just means that it's kind of like the analogy with the man with the starfish, and they're all washed up on shore, and it's told in a million different ways. One's a little boy, one's a man. Let's just say it's you, Gary, and you're there on the shore, and you pick up a starfish. They're all washed up on the shore. You throw one in, and you pick up another one, you throw one in. It's covered in thousands. I said, Gary, what are you doing? Like, you can't possibly change the outcome for all of these starfish. And then you pick up another one, you throw it back in, you say, change the outcome for that one. Mm-hmm. And that's how it works. And you have to be the one that advocates for yourself. You have to be the one that takes action on your own life and own health. And whether that is eating better, taking gluten out of your diet, like you've been following Gary for a long time, you're witnessing things change in his life and health because of choices that he's making. Red light is one of those key things. PEMF is one of those key things for him. And then you're getting clues and cues and prompts of, here's the way, walk forward. Most people stay on the sidelines and they watch others fulfill their dreams. And we're used to doing that because we watch movies where people achieve things while we don't achieve. We watch it. We live kind of vicariously through our imagination. But instead, we need to be doing the opposite, doing more, and watching a little less, watching things like that really fill our souls and fill our minds with solutions and pathways to like the life that we want, and then be making massive impact with what we have.
Well, and that's what I want this interview to do. Is I want people not just to sit on the sidelines and watch this interview. I mean, you have the tools we're presenting that you could take action on the information and change your life. And that's what people need to understand. And I want to ask you, because we're talking about freedom, we're talking about the Maha movement. If this Maha movement succeeds, health freedom continues to expand, what do you think that means for everyday Americans who want access to red light therapy, PEMF, or these kinds of wellness tools without big pharma's gatekeeping?
Yeah, absolutely. So some people will say things like medbeds are going to be free, right? And they're going to be provided by the government. Nobody knows that for a fact. And with all our connections, we're not privy to that, right? In terms of that, even red light and PEMF is going to be released to the public for free. Now, it would be off taxpayers' money, right? So it's not technically free. And that it becomes free when we then make choices to then do these things and put them into our homes, and then set ourselves up so that we can help loved ones. And then many of which, like I've helped many people, right, for free because they live near me and they come, and like if I could, I would just give everything, right? If I had the ability, I absolutely would, and I'm not making that up. I mean that's what we do in Kenya. I've been 14 years been doing famine relief and long-term sustainability, and we don't sell emergency food. We don't sell the seeds and the tools. Like a lot of the profits that come from my company, we donate every month practically for the last 14 years, Gary. And you've not heard me talk about it in the show because I'm like, well, it's not relevant. I'm talking about health. So now you're hearing it, and you could show you what we've been doing there. But like that's an example of we need to be making decisions as leaders versus waiting for everyone to like fix our problems. Like if it's to be, it's up to me. Like repeat that mantra. If it's to be, it's up to me. I have to be the change I want to see in the world. If I want red light to be free, then I can make it free for other people by getting something, putting it in my home. And like, you know, Dee Dee that reclaimed her salary at $48,000 a year of salary that she could not work in, being at a 9 out of 10 pain with back pain with sciatica. She only spent a few $100s, right? She used this device to change her life, right? So it's kind of like you go where you can. Don't like look at something and go like, oh, I wish that's not possible for me. We've got payment plans. You could do it monthly for 6 months or 12 months, and it will cost you what it would cost you for like a little $50 supplement. And then I did the math. I've shown people like if you have $50 a month as a supplement, out of the year, that's going to be $600. If you're trying to take something as therapeutic, it would have to be at least 4. That's pushing you at $2,400. Or if you're a family of 4 taking the one supplement, that's $2,400. Either way, over the next 10 years, that's $24,000. And then you're like, oh, well, I didn't want to spend that $1,000 or $2,000 on a red light panel. Well, you literally spent 10 times more on something that
Yeah, you're feeding the big pharma beast with every prescription fulfillment. I mean,
yeah,
Jonathan,
exactly.
for somebody who's watching, who just saw those clips we presented, they want to explore the red light therapy or PEMF for themselves. Where do they begin, and what should they know?
Absolutely. So if you want to do red light therapy, you want to look at tools that work, right? So you look at tools like what we have here. Like this is an example right here, right? Where I mean, these are the devices that are going as part of the patient program for Hope for Cancer. So when you go back home, that's what you put in your home. And that look, they put Olivia Newton-John's cancer in remission, and Suzanne Summers and others. And some of these issues that happen with recurrences where they get it again is because the follow-up program needs to be really developed. And that's why they're so excited to be basically partnering with us to help the patients get what they need. And so these are 2 examples when we talk about the Medbed. It's like that's the pulse electromagnetic field, that's the red and near infrared.
What we're showing on the screen right now. This is the total package. This is what people need to get. It's the combination of the red light and the PEMF mat, and this is what they need to do. I mean, we talk about. I mean, the belt is great. It's great for me because if I'm traveling or if I don't have the opportunity to get under the full system, but this is the full combination package that people need to really focus on, in my opinion.
Exactly. No, so 100% agreed. Because the studies that when you go into like androgenic alopecia, periarthritis, when they're stacked together, they are getting much better results, right?
Is this a new device? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is this a new device?
Yeah, it is. It is actually, right? So it is because we just did a couple things that made that so that, like, for example, you could do 9 hours, meaning that you could sleep on it. You could put a thin mattress in between you to make it more comfortable with the gemstones there. But it's got the red light, and so we put the 4 of the most proven wavelengths so that we could focus on the red and near infrared. And then it's got 8 internal magnetic coils, and most devices you see with just 3, right? And so to get something like that has all that built in, and again, if people are just like, look, I can only do one thing right now, then you could choose that. For example, sleep may be your issue. Well, look at the studies on that, right? The 69.7% going to remission on that. If thyroid was the issue, then look at the red light, where it's 200 milliwatts of power over the thyroid near infrared at 810, which we do by doing 810, 830, 850, 1060. That showed 96% of the participants went into remission of having enlarged thyroid to regular thyroid. The other studies were even just 20 minutes twice a week meant that they 47% got off levothyroxine completely with just 5 weeks of treatment. What about 10 weeks? What about 20 weeks? You could probably see maybe the whole group go off. I've seen it a lot, right? So my point being that you might then, if it was thyroid, you might say, well, if I'm doing one thing, you might say, okay, I'm just going to get a red light panel for now. That's where I'm going to start. Or you say, I get it. I see how these things go together, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to get both of these devices together. So and we've made it really accessible. Again, use the code NNN25 for individual items, NNN30 for bundled items, and we're giving away other gifts. And our documentaries, we've helped millions of people around the world. We're like a key resource for medical doctors and holistic functional medicine doctors, naturopaths. They're using our resources to get up to speed to know how better to treat their patients, which is why I train at some of these world-leading cancer therapy centers and all of that. So you get the information, which is really powerful. Get a couple of the free supplements as a gift. They'll go together really well, like helping the rebuild the gut flora and help the lymphatic system. So it all goes together. We've kind of programmed that specifically. And here you see the 4 different wavelengths for the mat, and then you see the different layers. And then the same with it's a great. Look, we're seeing a lot of miracles happen on it. There's all the gemstones in it. And then when you see, for example, like this is the irradiance in our RL Pro 300 Max. And we've got all the other devices, for example, if it's hair that you're going after, right? You could use the devices specifically for that, or if it's for like the face, right? The masks, right? So you could do all different precision devices. But here is an example where this is the reason why it's the most powerful device on the market, is because it's delivering over 200 milliwatts at 3 inches. And then it's got 9 different wavelengths, and it's using dual chips, which means you're getting an even spread of red and near infrared. So everything you can see there, the 288 chips is actually 576. And then like right? You pull it out of the box, you're like, wow, this is like SGT report. He said this is the same feeling I got when I first opened my first iPhone, right? You know it's going to last a lifetime. It's cast iron.
The construction is solid. I mean, like whenever I show people the stuff when they're in my home, or when like my father was just in town, and I gave him the methylene blue. I put him under the red light every day for 30 minutes. And I'm showing him your videos, and I'm explaining what the benefits are for him and some of his health conditions, because he's got some shoulder issues, he's got some thyroid stuff going on. But I explained, I said, Dad, let me just tell you what this device is, because it's not just some, hocus pocus. This is spa level, NASA grade stuff that, is intended to last a lifetime. I mean, the construction alone is so solid, but I mean the benefits. To have solid construction, and then of course the benefits in your home, spa grade stuff is remarkable. So I just want to make a point to that.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that, because, when companies do their best to go after excellence, when others see the hard work that's gone into that, it really is kind, and I appreciate it. And it's why, as well, places like Necker Island or with their wellness center, like if they do anything that looks a little bit tacky, well, people don't feel so good about the $40,000 they spent to be there for the week. All right, so this is the billionaires that are going there, right, or the multimillionaires or whatever, right? And again,
they could save they could save a lot of that money if they just have these devices in their home, which is kind of crazy when you think about them spending that much money when you could just go to your website and pick up a device for your house. And we have ours in our guest room and we use it all the time. So.
That's awesome. So then if you're the guest, then you got everything set up there ready for you to go, and then you that's awesome. Okay,
if you're a guest in our house, you get the full red light therapy treatment. It's like we turn the room into a spa room. It's very nice.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And there you go. And that's the social aspect there. And so like for your guests that came to visit you, the Medbed, was free. See it?
Yeah.
Gary made it free. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is the thing when people realize, because that's one of the biggest like rebuttals. No, but the med bed will be free. Yeah, well, if you make it that, if you treat yourself like somebody that's getting it into the world, like some of these treatments were just for 3 weeks and then the enlarged thyroid went away. That 96% of the thyroid cases, that was only a 3-week treatment. It was a 12-month follow-up. So it held. So then there'll be people that you help just for a few weeks, and then because they visited you, and then their life was changed forever. And so I just want to like encourage you with that. And so yes, like I mentioned, you've got like the items there where you've got like the stand, and you've got like a device that's going to cover all your organs, and that's where you would do that for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, or as you can, right? Based on what you have. If you've got 3 minutes in the morning, then get in front of it, get your eyes open. These were some of the studies that I flashed up on screen before, but all the photosensitizers that can be used instead of methylene blue, if people want those. But there's summaries there. People can pause these screens when they're watching this, and then be able to use some of these tools. And now that you know about it, look, berberine-filled cancer cells exposed to blue light. That's why we've got blue at 480. They produced a burst of reactive oxygen species. So when you're hearing red light therapy, you notice there's the blue, right? You saw it in the images. That's because you need that as well for activating different properties that will cause this. Look at that burst of reactive oxygen species, which damaged the cancer cells and triggered them to self-destruct through apoptosis, a clean programmed form of cell death in cervical cancer cells. This combination drastically reduced survival compared to light or berberine alone. And so in simple terms, berberine helps supercharge light therapy, making it more effective at killing cancer cells while being safe for normal cells. And that's the clinical study showing that here, right? So these are all the kind of findings. But yes, when people need to know what to do, then what you do is you get your red light therapy device as the base, right? That's the thing that you no longer have to keep buying. And if you do something for a season, you buy berberine for a month or two, then you use that. Now you cycle that. Now try curcumin. Now try green tea. You see what I mean? But then the base was the red light. Get the foundation. Get your home as a healing oasis. Then add in, right? This one was again, no photosensitizer used for this, but this was a 40% drop in breast cancer. This was 24 hours, but it was in vitro, right? So I'm not saying it was in humans, but it occurred as a 40% drop at 660 nanometers, which is why having that wavelength becomes really important. Having certain wavelengths becomes really important. That's what you'll see here as we get close to wrapping, guys. But this is what we've put. These are all the 9 wavelengths that we put in our device: 480, 590, 630, 660, 670. Look at the deeper levels of penetration from one to the next. Shallower is better for certain things. Deeper is better for certain things. You get my point, right? And then 810 up to 1060, you see how it's going to the subcutaneous tissue, muscle, bone, interior tissues. And then you see here, lung cancer, breast cancer, stomach cancer, colorectal cancer, prostate cancer, mitochondrial health, lupus, fibromyalgia, arthritis, stroke. This table just shows the different studies that exist for those certain wavelengths. And so you generally should always in life go for things that are proven versus guessing, right? So if that is proven, then you have the confidence. Now your compliance, your ability to do it is increased, because if you didn't know it was going to work and you weren't really thinking it was going to work, you probably wouldn't do it. And that's why as well, getting a device that you're not really confident in it, you don't know anyone it helped, you might not even use it, right? But in Gary, who you followed and trusted, he got those results, and he's not lying to you. If he's lying to you, then why do you listen to him? And then just go with people that you can trust. If you can't trust Gary, then don't waste your time, right? So go with somebody that you trust, because you just don't know, and that's called living in this world always, especially in this day and age in 2026. But like, look at all these studies, right? So I just want to encourage you guys that whatever it is that you're dealing with, right? We started with cancer, but there's so many different things, and like this is who I got to live for. These guys, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, Gary, but then the one on the way, right? The little one that we got, that's that's on the way. Yeah, my wife is okay with me sharing it here and there,
Uh-oh,
but we have.
congratulations.
Thank you, bro. And what does my life and health look like? What does their life and health look like? My wife, look at what she had, right? Depression, anxiety, parasitic infection, mood disorder. She had a lot of things going on, a lot of chronic pain. She was crying herself to sleep tonight. I had Lyme disease. I had Epstein-Barr, cytomegalovirus, Ross River fever, glandular fever, and chronic nausea, chronic boils, chronic fatigue syndrome. I got scars on my body for when I had that when I was a teenager. And red light was one of the key tools. It's not the only tool. I did parasite cleansing. I did many of the different things that I allude to and share. And red light has been arguably, definitely, there's my long list. One of the absolute best things I've ever done for my life and health, and something that I really can't go without. And like, I was actually devastated. I'm on a boat right now, and they took my red light off me, and I'll get it when I get off the ship. But I should have remembered, because that's what they did to me last year. But yeah, these are a lot of the doctors. What was that?
They took your red light?
Yeah, because the power,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. But they'll give it back to me. But they were like, but that's, I obviously, you could go a couple of weeks without it and you'd still maintain the benefits. But if I want to be like super fun, like excited and energetic, because connecting with people and I'm going on excursions and things like that, then I want to have that. But this, I want to have it with me, right? But these doctors are using this clinically, Dr. Ed
That's
Group
Robert
and Dr.
Scott
Antonio
Bell.
Jimenez. Yeah, he
The
loves that stuff too.
RSB, what's
Brandon
up?
User. Oh, you love the guy. I
Dr.
love the
Judy?
guy.
Oh yeah,
Dr. Henry Ely.
I've known Robert Scott Bell for, man, probably like 20 years.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
about 12 years for me. And so he's seen me from when like I was producing back with The Truth About Cancer. And yeah, this guy here with his team, they're using our devices. And Dr. Ely, he has an issue with epilepsy. So if he had sensitivity, if our lights had any flicker, they would cause a lot of harm to him. But it's been extremely effective and therapeutic for him. So it's kind of good to have those backings and that endorsement by these types of folks. But yeah, that's a
Remarkable.
game changer right there, man. Yeah, so it's really simple, guys, about just getting the right tools, getting them in the home, and then getting to work and just doing it. Something it's good to be aware of with us is that we're extremely popular, right? So we're all the way from Tim Pool. Here's two people that are at odds with each other: Tim Pool, Candace Owens. Both of those sources are getting the word out on what we're doing. Like got like hotshots like Gary with Next News Network, getting this out to the public. We got Russell Brand. I'll be on his show within the next couple of weeks, and all of these things to say that it just means that jump on before the demand just like skyrockets, and then we just have to let you guys know that, hey, now's not a good time. Wait, give us 6 months to get on track. We're not there. We're good, and we're able to fulfill our orders because we've just done everything we can to take care of our customers and make all the investments we needed to supply and the demand and take care of people and give people the best quality products. Everything is hand tested, and so we're making sure that all the irradiance is on point, like the wavelengths. Every single thing needs to be tested to the nth degree. So like it's not like just this, massive dump like of these low quality products that you could just print on demand. It's not that simple. There's so many processes involved. Hence why the demand is huge, and so it's the right time to jump on now. And I always tell people, like, when it's available, jump on, grab it, because when it's not, then people get really upset. They're like, I really needed this right now. And it's like, well, do it now so you don't get yourself in that situation. Because I've been through some devastating things. Like right now, I'm also helping people like Lance Armstrong with his eyesight, with red light, and some other like kind of well-known people. But I've been in some situations where I like just felt a lot of sadness because the red light didn't get there in time. And meaning that it was a cancer diagnosis and it didn't get there in time, and meaning this was an example that's coming to mind. It was in South Africa. It was a high-profile person. It was their parent. I'm not going to mention the names, but and it was just me gifting it. But it was just a really quick thing, because that's what happens when you have some of these problems go on, and then you are doing the high-dose chemo, and like it's often it takes the life of somebody. And so I just hate all that, and I just love people getting set up, being ahead of all that, get a victim when you don't have to be. Not now. We don't have to be the victim. And I've shared other resources. You watch our last video as well, guys, because I mentioned a site when Mel Gibson was talking about, he was saying like this was what they used. This site, like, just put that into your domain, look at it there. See that? Put that in. This is like free. Get it off Amazon. I can't say what it is. I can't say everything. He even said it wrong. He didn't say the word right, but this is what they were using. And then put these words in and search this, and you will learn exactly what to do. And it is just amazing. I mean, this PSA was over 1,100. You'd never heard of that before, right? See what you're seeing here. This stuff doesn't cost anything, guys. There's a reason why I'm not allowed to talk about this one. So I just want to
let's dial it back. I don't mean to cut you off here, but
we said enough.
We can only go so far sometimes.
We said it.
I think we pushed the envelope pretty far on this interview. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Jonathan, thank you for joining us once again. I really appreciate it, and especially you supporting the show.
Of course. It's my pleasure. Thank you, Gary, for having me. Bless you guys. And remember, check us out at myredlight.com. Watch the training. It's free there. It's a couple hours long if you want to see more of this. And then just make a decision. Take care of your health. And we got a 3-year warranty on our panels and 60-day money-back guarantee. And be blessed like Gary and his family are. And we just want to serve and help. And we do all the trainings inside, which is not what other groups do. So you'll get all the follow-up. We'll be helping you know how to use it and all of that. So bless you guys. Grab it while it's available. Use the code NNN25 and NNN30, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Patriots, you just saw it with your own eyes. 2 clips. Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson on JRE. 3 friends with stage 4 cancer. The stuff works, man. That's what he said. Things that do cure you are not promoted because they're not profitable. Then Laura Trump on Fox News, the president's daughter-in-law touring Gary Brekka's red light therapy room. Brekka explaining exactly how it pushes oxygen into your mitochondria. This is the Medbed technology. Trump family's using it. Gary Brekka told Rogan to combine methylene blue with red light. RFK Jr. visited Brekka's facility. Maha is changing everything. And Jonathan just broke down the peer-reviewed science. So if you want to try red light therapy for yourself, go to myredlight.com. Use code NNN30. Or you can also go to mypemfmat.com. Use code NNN25. And you will have your health back. Your health is your wealth. And that's why Big Pharma is terrified of this technology. And remember to do this for me. If you have benefited from this technology, if you've benefited from these interviews, drop your testimony in the comments and let's change the world. For the Next News Network, I'm Gary Franchi.